Conversations, Improv Style, the podcast. All right. I had set it up and then something went wrong and I had to start it over. But we're going to just enjoy the fact that we are live. So this is an impromptu, right? Of course, the person that I had planned couldn't make it. Hey, it is what it is. Let it be, let it be. Hello, Gemini 7. Hello, Peter. Hello, Sandra. Welcome, welcome. So the discussion today the divine gave me is shifting and evolving, right? And I have 3 spots, right, available. It's shifting and evolving. And for me, shifting and evolving also means that everything I learn, all of the wisdom and the understanding, I actually apply it to my life. I actually live life instead of complaining about it. And as you're invited on, if you so choose to want to come on and be a guest in one of those spots, understand that this is, not only is it a podcast, it's my page. And I don't want to argue or debate anybody's views or perceptions. Why? Is because I believe that we are here to make choices, have a belief that turns into our truth, and then live our life. Now, through wisdom and understanding, we learn to make new choices that we find out are for our highest and greatest good. I also believe that the story can be interrupted, or you can opt out of your story by choosing a different story. So everybody has come in to this timeline to express. Me, I went inward for me and asked my higher being, what are you wanting to express through me? Now, some might not want to do that. Some might want to, lean into their ego and stick with their ego. Why? Because they might feel that that's for their highest and greatest good. They believe that their ego needs to be their bully or their protector, and they feel comfortable that way. I'm not here to change their perception of that and how they live life. Just present something new to them. I am here to inspire, to motivate. I am here to educate and edify in the growth and expansion of all, however they feel it's good for them. For me, that's primarily the definition of shifting and expanding and evolving, is being open to constant change. When you feel your feelings tell you that you're ready for it. So as I begin this podcast, if you want to join, like I said, there's 3 spots. So if you're in alignment with that, you don't have to be in agreement with it, but you can be in alignment, and we can talk about shifting and expanding and evolving and your story and how you've grown. Because everybody has a different way of seeing their puzzle pieces called life. Some people, their puzzle pieces are always shifting around, and sometimes you're finding out that your puzzle pieces need to be reshaped or alchemized with wisdom and understanding, patience, and giving yourself grace. And some people find out that their whole puzzle, the container that holds the puzzle piece, has toppled and has toppled over, or even has restructured. I would come in, but I'm in the studio. No problem, it's okay. So the thing is that the divine is all and is nothing. The divine is the energy that moves the whole construct of our... Hold on a second. Somebody wants to take a first spot. Hold on. muffle for a minute, so I'm going to give it a moment. Welcome, Domini. Anyway, I'm going to talk. I'm not sure if here he comes.
Hi Sandra, how are you?
I'm fine. I'm doing really good. Check your volumes.
Right, hang on.
Okay. So I'm going to welcome you all in. Thank you for showing up. You know, sometimes I have to do these special podcasts because sometimes the guests don't show up. Plans change. You know, I contact them. Some don't contact me back because, you know, maybe they had problems with their phone, or maybe they ended up being out of the country, or simply maybe they forgot.
Yeah.
That's part of the story. That's part of what I'm learning about doing everything myself, you know, being the podcast guest, the host, and also getting or procuring the people that I want to be on the podcast, you know.
It got me really interested on this one, and I was hoping to get home a bit early so I could come on a bit.
Tell me, everyone, can you hear him? Because I can't hear him. It's all muffled. I'm sorry, Peter. It's kind of muffled. Is there something over your speaker?
No. I've got hold of the phone.
Okay, but it sounds like you're really far away.
No.
Maybe is it only me? Everybody else is hearing you fine, so it's only me. Maybe I need to turn something up. No, I've got everything turned up. So anyway, go ahead. Peter, go ahead.
Okay, so you play it on the image, I know, because I'm right under a light.
Yeah.
So, right, I was thinking about like me being autistic.
You getting what?
Me being autistic.
Uh-huh.
Hang on, let me put the headphones.
Oh, is it maybe coming more through your headphones than through your phone, maybe? There's a glare on your image and can't really hear you. Are you talking to me, Taurus girl?
Right. Okay. Well, sorry. Can you hear me better?
Oh, yes. Right. Much better.
Right. Okay. So, what I was thinking about was like what you were saying about evolving and stuff. And
Hold on 1 second. Everybody who's coming in, I have 2 more spots available if you want to come in on the live. And we're talking about shifting and evolving. All right. Okay. Peter, I'm ready.
Oh, sorry. Right. So, I've gone through many changes, and you're always evolving and thinking and learning. So, when I was autistic, that was a sort of, let me think, evolvement, because I was learning new things about myself. And I think when you're always in that mode of evolving and learning, it's always interesting because you never, as we talked about on another podcast or another live, that you never stop learning. So every time you learn something, you're evolving.
Yes.
And for me, when I got diagnosed with autism, I was evolving at that time as well. So it's like loads of stuff like that. Yeah, and it's a really fascinating thing because sometimes we don't see that we're evolving into something, or we don't see that we're sort of not shapeshifting. That's not the right word.
Actually, that's a very good word. Shape shifting. Very good word.
Yeah. So we are forever expanding, and our knowledge base is expanding as well when we evolve. So I could go on all night and take over, so I don't want it. But yeah, probably went 4 times evolving
Yeah.
in things.
4 times that you're actually more aware of than actually
Yeah,
haven't been aware of. Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
me too.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think as well, it's not to be scared, and you've got to trust the process
Yeah.
a hell of a lot. So this is probably my 4th time I've evolved into something, and it's really nice to do that as well.
Right.
Just got to do something before, and I like it. Yeah, is that better? Sorry, I think me lens on the camera was a bit dirty. So yeah, oops, sorry.
Oops.
So yeah,
I know. It's all happened to all of us, man, you know.
yeah.
Especially
So
those of us who like moisturize our hands and stuff. And we're constantly using it. Yeah.
yeah. So for me, I'm at this 4th period now. So I'm learning more things and more things about myself. So on the 5th one, I'll probably put the knowledge into use.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
so
I think
yeah,
that's what I'm learning how to do. About shifting, and I like the way excuse me, I've got my air conditioner on and my fans going because my dog it wants to stay in my room, and my room is perfectly
yeah,
vibratorily synced for podcasting. So
yeah,
I've got everything going to keep him cool, right?
yeah,
It's all
yeah,
about
yeah.
my puppy Wuppy. That's what I could say. So the way you said shape shifting, for me, that's perfectly, because we're constantly creating a different shape of us. We don't understand that as we, and this is even if you haven't had a soul or a spiritual awakening, just by the simple mere fact that you are living and thinking that you're living and having a what you believe is a conscious thought about choices and everything that is going on in your life, you're shape shifting yourself through
Yeah,
and right. And even if you haven't come, a spiritual awakening or a soul awakening is exactly what that's meant. You are awakened to the fact that your soul, or what you might call your soul, or your spirit, or your higher being, is coming online. It's waking up,
yeah,
and it's saying, oh, okay, I'm recalling. All right. So all the life you've been living before that, that accounts for something. That doesn't mean
yeah. I
that
know.
you actually start living when you come online. It means that you need to give your ego thanks for giving you the awareness, as best it could show you, of how to keep shape shifting, living the story you're living. Whether it felt good, whether it felt bad, whether it was uncomfortable, whether it was a generational curse, whether it was happy or sad, you were living life, and you were shape shifting, and your energy quotient that you were using with probably without your knowledge of it, was helping the earth consciousness and her body and all of humanity shift some more, right? Okay, so now we take it a step further. Now you're awakening. You're awakening to the fact that that higher being that came from, I call it the realm of absolute. Some others might call it heaven, and some others might say it's the light codes of the matrix. Whatever you call it, this beingness is coming online that's within you, and some of the layers are being lifted, and you become aware that you can interact with your higher being. And like Peter says, you can start shape shifting. You can
Mhm.
shift into the whatever the next part of your wisdom and understanding of your of learning that you're going to be embodying
Yeah, and
or go ahead.
in autistic terms, we call it masking.
Masking. Hold on.
Yeah,
Priestess says, I love this topic. I would love to talk about, I would love to talk, but I can't since I'm at the gym. Oh, no problem. It's always, hey, I can bring this one up again. Loving the combo anyway. You're so welcome. Divine Words of Wisdom gives me a wave. Welcome, welcome. Divine Wholeness, she says to everyone. And she sends stars and butterflies are butterflies are shifting. They go from the caterpillar stage, not knowing that they're going to be a butterfly, and then they shift into a butterfly. They merge into a butterfly, and they now live the life of a butterfly. They have multi-dimensional
yeah,
shifting. Yeah.
yeah.
So go
Oh,
ahead. But you were saying you autistics call it masking, and we've talked about this before. So
yeah.
keep going.
So basically, we can adapt to any situation. So basically, if we know it takes a lot of energy, because sometimes I do it when I'm nervous or I'm in a new situation.
Mm-hmm.
But in a way, that's evolving
Right.
because you're learning to adapt. You're learning to adapt very quickly to the surroundings that you're in. So it's like, wow, okay. When you said this topic, it really resonated, and I was like, I'm gonna get on, even if it's gonna be for a bit, and that,
Mm-hmm.
and talk a little bit about it.
Okay. Before you do, Divine Words of Wisdom, if you like to join, you're welcome to join if you're able. And I see you, Ezra 703. I believe you follow me, but do you also follow Peter?
I don't know yet.
Yeah. You said, I see your soul. Ezra, if I invite you in, are you in alignment with what we're talking about right now? Or do you have a different
Agenda.
agenda? I need to know that before you come into this live because it is a podcast. So please let me know in the comments.
Yeah.
Okay.
So sorry.
That's
So
okay.
we're as an autistic person, we're always evolving, and I feel that, like, with the gifts that we're given, that we're given them for a reason. I feel. Now, I'm not religious, I'm more spiritual. I say this to people, I am more spiritual.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel that, like, when we adapt to certain situations in life, that's us changing. Every single time we adapt, we change. And
Yes.
like it's like that metamorphosis. That's what it is. So every time we change, we're metaphorically changing into something that we either want to be or we feel that we've got to be. So the metamorphosis, like the butterfly you were saying, it has two lifespans, as a caterpillar
Yes.
and as a butterfly.
Mm-hmm.
And like we have one lifespan depending on what you believe in.
Right.
So and I think, like, as well, we are always, as humans, evolving and adapting.
Yes.
So it's like,
And I'd like to add one more thing, as where the butterfly has a two what we believe or what we perceive as two lifespans, that of the caterpillar, it cocooning and transforming, transitioning into the butterfly. Human beings have what we believe is one lifespan, but because we're multidimensional beings, we have many transforming lifetimes in depending on how we're using the wisdom and the information to change the story, or even to really opt out, so to be able to shift is
Sorry.
for me to be able to, for us to be shifting, which is from what, being in meditation and listening to the divine within me, showing me, leading me to books and helping me to understand more, that the whole idea of the expression of the divine moving in, through, and as us is because of the shifting, and because of the evolution, and because of the fact that we have free will. We get to change the story,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. We are forever changing our story and stories.
And if
So it's
anyone
like,
has any questions, please put them in the question box, or feel free to ask a question in the comments. Okay. Remember, we do want to keep it in alignment with shifting and evolving and growing and expanding. I truly believe, you don't have to believe, you get to take what resonates with you or for you, and just leave the rest alone. I believe that, well, for me, I'll put it this way. The reason why I believe in that shifting and evolving is the purpose of this story that we have, this I want to say, I'm listening to the divine now. Welcome, Suzanne. Welcome. The reason why the divine is moving in, through, and as us. Okay, I'm going to say it this way. I believe the reason why the divine is moving in, through, and as Sandy, me, is because it's seeking itself outside of formless, outside of what it already knows it is, and it decided to create this story, or this sense of knowing through form body, right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
instead of just telling the story itself, it is having us tell the story through our free will, through our choice, through the shifting, through the growth and the expansion, through the becoming, and through the evolution, and then to have a story in the story and start over again. I believe
over
that
again.
I am the point of my quantum conscious attraction. I believe that I, Sandy, start here, and here's the story, the situation, the circumstance, everything. I take my wisdom, I take my understanding, I create the story from beginning to end of that story, and I come back to the point of consciousness, me, Sandy. You take that, take it as you will. You can resonate with it or not. I'm not here to argue a point. I am here to listen to you, to say how you got to your story. And
yeah,
right.
Sorry. Yeah. No, but that's true.
Suzanne, as you're coming in, this podcast is a impromptu podcast. I have one guest right now that popped on, and there are two other spaces. If you would like to pop on and talk about shifting, wisdom, understanding, and evolution, feel free. So, all right. So let's keep going.
So with the wisdom side of it, I don't fully believe you get wisdom straight away.
Mm-hmm.
As you're evolving, the wisdom's evolving as well. So everything evolves, like what you were saying about evolving. But as you get older, you learn. So like what's the old saying? You never stop learning. But the reason why you, hello,
Welcome.
Hello.
the reason why you,
Everyone, this is Patrice. Welcome her in.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
Loving
Hi.
blessings.
Blessings to you. I'm grateful. Thank you for inviting me and having me here. I'm grateful.
I told you I was going to get you on my podcast.
You did. You already foreseen it. You did. You spoke it into existence. Absolutely.
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 If you do, if you are not following this divine queen and goddess, please follow her. Click up at the top, the arrow down, and follow her and follow Peter. Okay.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. I'm grateful.
thank you.
Yes.
So what was I saying then?
We were talking about wisdom, and you
Yes.
said that you don't believe that wisdom comes straight away.
Yeah, it comes in time. So, like people say, you never stop learning. So the thing is, that is a very true statement. So your wisdom doesn't. So your wisdom doesn't come straight away. So so you will learn something. You carry on learning that one particular thing you like. Then you'll go, oh, okay, I'll try something different. Then you do that, and then each time you've tried something different, you've gained knowledge and wisdom.
Yeah.
So you've gained it, and that's the thing, that it just doesn't come straight away. Like you weren't, you weren't born knowing everything.
There you go. See, Peter, you're always opening these. Okay, everything. Okay. I'm listening to the divine, and the divine says, "Here it goes. Everyone, take what resonates and leave what doesn't. Everybody has a belief of what their truth is. Peter believes that wisdom doesn't come right away. That as you grow and learn, it evolves. Okay, and what the divine wants you to know is everything that you'll ever need to know was already given to you. It's all inside of you. It's there. It's nothing that we have to gain outside of ourselves. So when you're ready for that wisdom, for me, I'll just say that wisdom just smacks me in my face. It just like, Sandy, here it is right now. And Sandy goes, what? Right? Because it comes from within and it just pushes it out, right? But it does it for Sandy. Even if I give it to you, if you're not ready to go deep inside and allow it to push through you, because I can give you the seed. I can give you all the knowledge and wisdom that I've gotten. But if you aren't ready to dive deep inside you and go, oh, let me find that too, because I'm just a guideline. If you're not ready to swim inside of you and shine those lights to find it, it's just going to be there, right? It's
exactly.
Yeah, and I love that Peter, the way Peter said it, because for him it's truth. Wisdom doesn't come all at once. It happens through his growth and his expansion. Now, I've got her on my podcast. Oh, can you impart some of that glorious wisdom about this?
I love being in this space because it just gives me opportunity to just, witness exactly what has been imparted on me about the many different versions of selves and how the divine essence of the all is experiencing through each and every one of us. And so now the intrigueness of just hearing the many versions of selves express themselves in terms of how they understand their now moment, and what the authenticity of their now moment looks like to them, for them. And me now being in a mature space, to appreciate, how the individualism understand the creation of how they understand their reality and what they have allowed themselves to experience, that the all is experiencing through them. So, most times now in this capacity, when I do hear others speaking of their experiences, their created experience, whether it's an experience of awareness or an experience in unawareness, I'm thoroughly intrigued in the essence of the vivid imagination of how the all is experiencing through each and every one of us. So it's beautiful. I really don't have a rebut anymore in nothing that anyone says now, because they're all truths. They're all truths
Yes,
because
right?
it's the divine. This is their perception of their reality in terms of how whatever it has been, in terms of what has created it, and the authenticity of it is what is being expressed. So the authenticity of how they understand their now moment is a divine truth, and it doesn't necessarily have to be in alignment with anybody else's truth. Because all are truths through the divinity of the all experiencing through us. So it's all true, whether we are, as individuals are aligned with it or not. So I really don't have no rebuttal. I'm just, as I said today and earlier, I look at the all as a little child. And if we all can kind of get ourselves back into the momentum of how we were with a little child, we had this vivid imagination. And so when we were able to express our imagination in freedom, we created all kind of things to keep ourselves entertained,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
And so in the essence of how I understand the purity of that, it's like, wow, the all really truly does have such a vivid imagination through myself, through you, through this beautiful soul that is here, in terms of how he understands how wisdom, the way that he created wisdom to become upon him. It is his own divine creation of how he wanted to experience the reintroduction of wisdom of himself in this polarized version of self. So I'm just intrigued now that I'm in a mature space to be able to appreciate and accept all modalities of how one individually understand their now moment. Yeah.
Truth.
Yeah.
This is truth for me. I'm intrigued to see how everyone expresses, and knowing that the divine is moving through the expression without having to say, Peter, could you mute for a minute, because I'm hearing a clicking. um what was I saying? Oh, because the divine is moving in and through each and every one of us and just saying, this is the experience. For the divine, there's no good, there's no bad, there's no happy, there's no sad. It's just the experience. But the body and the conscious mind get to have the feelings and get to have the emotions. And even and what really blew my mind I think at the end of the year before last, was actually understanding that we could opt out of a story and start a whole new story, right? Peter, did you want to say something?
Well, yeah,
you can hear it, right?
so basically, like I was showing you this
The
before.
picture, yes, I was seeing it.
Yeah, so this is something that I just so that, oh God, it's made it worse. So hang on 1 minute.
Okay, and while we're hanging on, I'm gonna I am the cut above. She was saying, let me go back to what she was saying. She was saying, she started saying, until we put mother first, mother is humanity and mother is law. Then she was saying, none of us would not exist without the womb of the mother. This is how we entered into the world of it, to give her honor. And she also says, and that's accountability for self and responsibility for self. I'm just reading what she says because everybody's perception is their truth. You take what resonates and you leave what doesn't. If you don't agree with her, it doesn't stop her from having this perception and telling this story and expressing this story through the he's a man. I'm sorry. Woo. I'm sorry. Forgive me. Okay. From expressing his story, right? For me, I believe that the divine is neither he, she. I believe the divine is they and it. But get this, the they and it can embrace the he and she. So for anybody who's having, as he's typing, don't take a negative to what he's talking. He's just adding some information that might be like the seasoning you can add to a delicious dish that you get to say, "Ooh, let me try that," and you get to see if it resonates for you. All right, because I'm in agreement that the story has expanded, because I used to think, being a good little Baptist girl and being taught about Adam and Eve, and that if there wasn't an Adam and there wasn't an Eve, then all of this would not have been possible. But now I'm growing to believe that there's infinite possibilities of the choices of how the whole story began, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I think welcome Sacred 33, welcome the Swagatrons. I love that. So welcome. All right, so what were you saying, Peter?
So for me, all this, like, what was it? What was the conversation we were talking about before? Oh God,
You
I
know
forgot.
what?
We've gone all over the
We've
place.
been talking about so much, so just start
But,
wherever you need to start. Listen to the divine and start wherever you need to start.
so basically, for me, I create what I think.
Yes.
So that's not me.
Yeah, that's me. We look like we're about to have a thunderstorm or something. So
Oh, is that
yeah,
what that was? That, because that's what I
yes,
thought it was. I thought it was thunder. Okay.
yes, yeah,
Yeah. So
And you know, this is the perfect podcast because the
yeah,
divine is speaking
yeah.
through that. Yeah. Welcome, Casey. Danny's line has come online. Welcome. You were showing me the picture and you were saying that you create what you think, Peter.
yes, so I'll just show you this again, or I might actually show you one of my favorite ones. So I think for me, evolving is about creating.
Okay.
So everything we create, we evolve with. So for me, I do art. So as I am learning a new art skill or refining my others, I'm evolving that thought process in my brain to go, well, okay, I enjoyed doing that last time, so I'll do it again. So when I do stuff, I do it because I like to create. So if you can see something like that there, can you see that, Sandra?
Yes, I can.
Right, so that's like just I'm in my studio at the moment, not
Mhm.
where I usually am when I talk to you. So
Right.
basically, I think like everything. So like that's one of my favourites. But this is my thought process on a canvas.
Mm-hmm.
So you think every time I do a new piece of art, it's an evolving canvas. So it goes from that one to this one that I'm working on at the minute. And then it goes from that to all these on the wall. So each piece of artwork is an evolve. I've evolved the style that I like. And IJ, and that's me.
I
But that's it.
appreciate being appreciated, Jay. Thank you. One love,
Thank
wholeness.
you.
So
Yeah.
basically what you're saying is, oh wow, we can just take this to shifting is the it's shifting and evolving as your process, your thinking process, or your creative thinking process shifts, it evolves. Yes,
Yeah.
right?
So
And that's what
I,
we're
I know.
all do. That's what we're all doing as we're expressing our story. It's our story isn't a right or wrong. It's a story. Yes, we have feelings about what our story is.
Yeah.
I mean, if
I
you
know.
want, I have people who like talking about their generational curses and all this that they have to do in order to that they came here, and they just came here because they're supposed to heal their generational curses and whatnot. That's a story, and that's a
But
expression. For me, I believe, I don't negate that. I believe that the generation or the higher beings that were the generations that came before us had to leave a certain story in order to drop us some good nuggets into my story of my DNA, so that I could have a story, right?
yeah.
And if I heal something
To
within
expand.
me, yeah, I expand it, right? So go ahead.
So, I know.
Let's see.
So,
I am. The cut above says uplifting fallen humanity is helping Mother to be conscious again, to rescue her from the cares of the world. Okay, that's it. That's
oh,
that's that is exactly an expression of how humans think. For me, that's an expression of how humans think that Earth consciousness, that she can't protect herself. We think that we believe that the divine that created us can't protect itself. And
it can't.
for me, my inner being always laughs through me, because that is one of the stories that I had to give up right away. When I first started my meditation, and that's for me, everybody in this room, take what resonates for you. Leave what doesn't. If you're not ready, if you're not ready to expand with what I believe, you do not have to be me. Okay?
Yeah.
That's not what this
So,
podcast is. My podcast isn't here to change your mind about what your belief is. All right? I'm just going to
so
tell you mine.
yeah. So for me,
I had to come to the realization. I used to worry about Earth so much. I used to worry about Gaia, and because I was being told that, oh, we're killing her. We're killing her. That whole thing. And when I first started meditating, that was my question. How can I help her live? And she came to me in that vibration and said, I live regardless of whether, if man was to leave me today, if there was not a man, woman, or child on me, I would still exist.
yeah,
And that's when I
exactly.
realized that. But she told me, she says, if you want to help give me light quotient, if you want to help me shift and expand, then watch your words with me. They're very powerful. What are you speaking over me? Are you speaking kindness? Are you speaking love? Are you speaking joy?
Yeah.
Or are you speaking that what everybody else is speaking? Are you speaking that we're killing her, we're using aerosols, we're using this, we're using that? Are you looking up at the sky and looking at in all my beautiful and glory, and I'm showing you it, and then you look and see an airplane fly across, and all you're doing is focusing on the chemtrail?
See,
And I
can
was blown away. I'm going to tell you, I was blown away, right?
like I think, and maybe that this is just what I think about religion in general, I thought about this, I think, a couple of times when I've been on with you, yeah, but I've never really said it on you. But I've always thought, why is some religion, doused
Oh,
in trauma?
okay. So
And I
what,
was like,
could I say
ooh,
it a different way? Are you saying, why is religion so powerful? Or no, are you asking, why is religion so controlling?
yeah,
Okay.
in a way, but also controlling and traumatic.
Ah, I think
Yeah,
you
traumatic.
asked that question and you answered it in the same sentence.
Yeah. Didn't even know that, but I
But
was.
you know what? I'm going to give this to Patrice because she has, the divine says, let it go, let it flow. Everybody, uh, uh, put yourself on mute, Peter, so we can listen. The divine wants us to listen.
Well, in terms of the essence of religion, right? Religion resides in this modality of the polarized version of self, right? So it's the all experiencing itself. The purity of itself is pure. It's without obstruction. It's without limitation. It's without the essence of the control aspect of itself, because it is the all experiencing many different modalities. So religion is just one of those experiences that how I understand my now moment, that is within the lower mind, right? That allows for the all to experience itself in a polarized version of itself. So the beautiful aspect of the purity of the all experiencing itself through religion is the God outside of self, is the external value of many different things to more experience itself on the consumer side of things more so than the producing side of things. Because even in the essence of the consumption side of itself, it's still producing the value of being able to experience the consumption. So it's a beautiful melody. When you become, when you begin to awaken, you begin to see the value even of the polarized version of self. Because this is why I pretty much always make a proclamation to move in the essence of the wholeness, so that I can understand each intricate part of the wholeness in divine love, right? So even in the religious side of it, there is purpose, there is value, because the all is experiencing the contrast of itself through those modalities of God outside of self, taking things from a book or an external value of self. Because remember, the true essence of itself is it knows all, it is everything, and everything is the all, right? So the experience of everything external is just it is experiencing itself in authenticity of what we may call amnesia or whatever. So I like to say the all is forgetting itself to remember itself, to experience the remembrance of itself, right? So these are all experiences. So now, as a mature version of self, or more of an ascended version of self, um, I've learned to speak many different languages, because that is what is inclusive of the all. The all speaks many frequencies, many vibrations, many essences of being, right? So when someone do speak religion and they are moving from the modality of, experiencing self outside of self, it's a beautiful love story, because the all has created in its vivid imagination the ability to experience itself in authenticity without remembering itself or pretending to not remember itself, so that it can have the authenticity of experiencing itself outside of itself. So religion is just for the purpose of the experience of it all. And so the beings that have chosen the aspect of the consciousness, the souls that have chosen that expression, that experience, the all is living through itself through that modality. So it's no judgment to those beings that have chosen to experience God outside of itself. Just like the young man that is here in this live what is it, I'm the cut above. I value what he's actually saying, because what in the frequency of how he's expressing himself, if I will, of my interpretation of it, is the experience of separation, is the illusion of separation, where there's still different many versions of selves through frequency that allows, the extreme version of the polarized version, and then more so of an ascended version of the polarized version. There's an ascended version within the version of the lower self, as well as an ascended version of the higher self, right? So the where he's at in terms of how he's understanding his now moment, by my interpretation, is just simply saying that he's still growing in an ascended version of understanding the illusion of separation, where everything is still somewhat separate of each other, in which that is fine because the all has created that value. It's still a live wire. And through this young man, you see that it still exists because in this now moment, we are experiencing that, right?
Right.
Now, how you internalize the experience determines if it still triggers you, then you're not healed from the experience. But
Right.
If you understand it in the essence of the wholeness, you appreciate the experience because you know in power, it is a created experience that the essence of you, the many versions of you, is experiencing in terms of God outside of self. I look at this, like I said, it's so interesting. Like now I can appreciate, it's like each individual essence of God is like a book or a story. And you know how sometimes you get a good book and you're reading it and you're so deeply invested into how this book or how this story has been written. And it either intrigues you or it may not be in alignment with you, be like, nah, I'll come back to it. Depends on the essence of the vibration of the story or the essence that is expressing it in its value of its chosen frequency and vibration, right?
Right.
So I respect all things that is, because regardless of where it is, whether it's religious, whether it's in the essence of the most egregious aspect of being to the essence of the most benevolent aspect of being, I understand it through unconditional love, divine love. And so now I just know that those that are expressing religion, they just simply want to experience God outside of self. That's the aspect of consciousness. That just
That's an aspect of consciousness. It's an infinite possibility, and the divine says, "Let it be so." Okay, and then
just
go ahead.
That was lovely, put lovely. That was where I really wow.
I have two
That
people
blew
in
me
this
away.
room that start with P, Patrice and Peter. I'm just saying. I'm sorry to cut you off, Peter. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
That was really put beautifully. That, and it really made me understand a bit there.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, it helps me understand my journey. My journey from being a Baptist, a Northern Baptist, little Baptist girl who literally always asked embodying questions. I mean, from the time I learned of Adam and Eve, I learned of the sinful nature, and the sin being that we could ate from the tree of knowledge. And then I'm going, well, wait, didn't we come? I would ask my pastor, didn't we come here to know things? And my pastor, I grew up in the 60s. I was born 1957. So I grew up in the 60s. Back then, children should be seen and not heard. Okay. But my higher being that has created this form body, and I came in a lot more awake, so I was always asking these questions and annoying the shit out of people, out of adults. All right.
Because
my
you were
mom would
very
always say, well, my mom would always tell me, keep asking those questions. They would always come to her and say, Anne, could you tell her to hush or whatnot? And she'd just look at them, smile, and then she, take me home. Oh, Sandy, what question did you ask? And I'll tell her what I asked. I told her I didn't believe that the infinite God that says in one moment, I love everyone and everything, and it is good, could turn around and then give us that could give us free will, give us all of that, and then turn around and in certain words take it away from us, right? And she said, oh, that's a good question. Can't answer it for you, but baby girl, where do you want to go next? And literally, I would tell her, well, there's a church down the street. Can I go there? That kind of thing. Because I started searching. Okay. Doesn't mean I was searching. It didn't mean I would find the answer. But I believe she was, not only was she my mother, not only was she the higher being that was my mother, so I could come into that experience, but I believe she was a higher being that was a guide to help guide me and protect me while I was asking these embodying questions. Because later on in life, and literally fast forward to 67 solar returns now, I'm these questions as they were becoming answered, as I was shifting, as Peter said earlier, he calls it shape shifting. As I was shape shifting, growing and expanding and evolving, she was protecting me so I could do this.
You can do it.
Yeah.
Right?
But
It doesn't
I
mean
think,
everybody else that's
yeah,
their story. That's just my story. That's just my expression of the story that I'm living. Right?
yeah, as well. Like, we are the creators of what we make as well,
Yeah.
you
Yes.
know. So whatever you put into your life, you get out in equal measures. And I believe that now. When someone said that to me, I didn't believe it as much. I was like, well, what have I got to put in? What have I got to do? What have I got to, and it was like, well, wow, okay. Have I got to do this? Have I got to be more good to people? Have I got to be good to myself? What's the answer? I still haven't found out yet because
Well,
I'm still searching for it.
the answer for me was moving in my purest authenticity, no matter what that looked like to someone else. Because remember, the experience is a program experience, and the authenticity of you is choosing an experience that is preferred outside of the programming. So the programming in your surroundings is going to tell you something entirely different because a lot of it is programmed. But the authentic you is not the programming. It's not the programmed you. So I'm not going to say escape, but my the evolution of me in this human experience, in this essence, was when I decided to move in my fearlessly move into my true self, my true authenticity, no matter what they look like. And the advantage for me in being successful of that is when I got the greatest opposition from my family, those that was very, very close to me that rejected me. And I said, if I could overcome, if I can still maintain the integrity of my true self with the very people that within this experience I have been programmed to love because they are my mother, they are my father, they are my brother, they are who they are choosing to be in this reality, and I was able to maintain the integral part, then friends and strangers was a piece of cake. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, to be able to overcome the scrutiny that could potentially, especially because Sandra and I share a lot of similarities where I'm a preacher's kid. You know, my grandfather was a Baptist minister. My grandparents raised me. So I was one of the same ones that had a whole ton load of questions that they kicked me out of Sunday school because I asked too many questions. And I'm the preacher's, you know, grandbaby, and they kicked me out of Sunday school because I was asking exactly, entirely too much questions. So, it's to really, this is what for me was when I decided to move in my pure essence of self, no matter what that looked like. And for me, because I value family so much, and the rejection of that was so painful for me, but I could not stray away, because once you get into that space of the authenticity, is such a freedom and it's such a liberation when you and as a, you know, I overcame it. And now that I have become more in tune, right, just like a piano, now I'm more in tune into the frequency of my authenticity, right. Now it is effortless for me. You know what I'm saying? Because that, you know, and when you get into that vibration, what will happen too also is when you no longer become vibrationally sound with other beings that are operating out of a different frequency or a different modality that is in a different frequency, you won't see them. They'll just kind of somewhat fade into black. So you don't even, you know, the way that it works is such, I call it like a protection mechanism or something, because you won't even be in that their way or in their path unless you choose to be in that space.
Yes.
Unless you choose to be in that space. Anybody else that you don't choose to be in that space would simply fade. They would just fade away because you're no longer vibrationally sound.
Right.
The strongest thing in this module of experiences is your authenticity. That's a very, it's like love and authenticity is like on the same vibrational wave, right? The underneath love. Yeah, that's how I understand mine now in that regard. But yeah, it could be.
I will tell. I hope I can keep this story brief, but when I went from the Baptist background and started growing in that, and then of course I hit that age where, oh, I want something different. Oh, born again Christian stage, right? And I would find being a born again Christian, people would be running from me, including some of my family, right? So they see Sandra coming, they run the other way or they turn the other way, right? And then as I'm growing and expanding, as I'm becoming more of the butterfly, I'm shifting out of the born again Christian stage, because what didn't work for me there was going around and telling everyone that you're damned, you're going to go to hell, right? And I would have Peter, put yourself on mute. Every time you move your headphones, they crackle. Okay. So but stay listening. Okay. So I would tell people, I do the thing, oh, you need to make Jesus first in your life. You need the blood of Jesus will heal you. You're a sinner. You're gonna, I did the whole kind of thing. Then while I was moving through that, I didn't like the way that felt. I actually had that moment, that quiet moment where I actually heard that and it coming out my mouth, and I went, I don't think that's a God moment. I don't think that that's the true essence of the authenticity of me, right? And as I'm moving into what more do I need to know, asking that, taking a deep dive into me, I'm moving out of that born again Christian stage, whatnot. But a couple of my family members are moving into it, right? And and that's their expression of them. I had one of them say, because my thought pattern had changed. I was starting to open up to other expressions of the story, the bigger picture. And I actually had somebody say to me, family member said, well, are you worshiping the same God? Have you changed that whole modality of that? Are you worshiping the same God that you told us to come to? That whole kind of thing. And I said, yes, because everything is the divine. I'm just expanding my perception of the divine and what's more for me, right? And it just, Peter, that just brings it back to that shape shifting, that modality of shape shifting and evolving.
I was just going to say,
it's not gonna be somebody else's perception. And like Patrice was saying, I had to release everybody's perception so that I could be the most authentic me, expressing to the divine this part of my story.
Yeah, and also as well, you were learning, so your learning was evolving as you were evolving. So everything you learned has evolved into something that you were not against, but you didn't like certain aspects of certain things. So it was like you're evolving. Evolving takes shape in many different forms.
That's it. It takes shape and it takes form. It's like Patrice says, it's part of that expression. I am a cut above says it's the difference between listening and hearing. When you're listening, you're retaining the information. When you hear, it's going through one ear and out the other. You know, my mom used to, or my uncles used to tell me that, and my mom used to stop me. My mom used to say, "Okay, Robert, don't say that to her, because now she's going to always think when she's hearing things, it's going through one, you know, in one ear and out the other. You're giving her a power. You're giving her the power of a suggestion, right?
An option.
And so it's it's when, for me, I know what to call it, actually have a label of what my mom was helping me do, which is actively listening in a conversation, playing it back before I speak, so that the person that I'm speaking to, we're on the same vibrational page in the conversation, right? So I don't know, everybody's the conversation, the room is moving so fast. My thing had stopped for a minute. You know.
The one thing he's missed out.
Pardon?
Think about it. He's missed one thing out. You speak, you listen, you see. I'm a visual learner, so I see better.
Yes.
And the thing is, we can learn by speech, we can learn by listening, but we can also learn by seeing.
Oh yeah, infinite
Yeah.
And the
possibilities.
thing, yeah, exactly. And the thing is, we always say speak, listen, talk and listening, but we forget seeing. And that's the thing. I learn through looking at things and going, when I do a piece of artwork, for example, I'll go, oh, okay, I'll put that stroke there. I'm visualizing what I'm going to put on the canvas or the paper. So
Yes.
I'm forever thinking that, well, okay, I can do that there, I'll put that there. Oh, I like that over here, so I'll put that over here. But I'm visually thinking
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and
I
seeing.
finally this is what in the last part of life, last year, and this is my perception of what for me, not for I am cut above. I am cut above says the mind is blind if the eyes cannot see. Correction, the eyes are blind when the mind cannot see. So for for me, the divine created us, gave us this higher being, which is, I believe, an integral part of aspect of the divine. The divine is in all of us, all at the same time, but authentically unique to each one of us at the same time. If you looked at a sci-fi movie and you saw this great big ugly monster with all these tentacles out everywhere, just touching everything. When I look at the divine of the consciousness, it's everywhere all at once and not at once. That's how multidimensional the divine is. So for me, the divine would not give us anything that we cannot use. The divine would not give us a mind that cannot see. The divine wouldn't give us spiritual eyes that cannot see. We may be born into this life with physical eyes that can't see, but there's a reason for it. There's a purpose for it. What it is when we come onto the scene is for us to learn, expand, and shift and evolve in to know later, or at whatever time we become aware, or that expression wants to become aware of that, right? Mm-hmm. So for me, that works that way, but that's my perception, and you take what resonates of it. You're not in my podcast to be Sandy. You're in this podcast to take what resonates for you and be authentically you in your expression of your story.
And
yeah,
right? And the thing of it is, like, I love that, because it allows people to be the freedom to be. You know what I'm saying? A lot of apprehension in a construction. I did a live today, saying about, are you the producer or are you the consumer? And I used an analogy that, I don't know where Peter resides, but here in the United States, we have a retailer called rooms to go, right? And the example that I gave in that analogy about being a producer or a consumer is when you're a producer, you're in the essence of the creational mode of the experience in the lower mind. When you are consuming an experience that has already been created for you. And when I used the analogy of rooms to go, when you go into rooms to go, that you could pick a room that has already been decorated with the decor, with all of the matching carpets and the furniture and everything that goes along with it. It's already created. You could just pick a package and you consume that package because it's already been created for you. And I think in the essence of all of that, that is the stark difference in terms of even in this value of being in power of choice, choosing it, because everything has a divine purpose, even the aspect of being a producer, even an aspect of being a consumer. So it's no different if you're coming in an an amnesiac state of being, so that the true essence of the authenticity of the experience can be extremely authentic, or you come in, as with Sandy, had some inclination even as a child, in the very construct that was, such a vast polarity. You already walking through the gate as a child, questioning everything. So that's
Yeah.
that's the version of self that's already somewhat illuminated into the essence of being, in such a drastic contrast. But at the same token, everything has purpose. Everything has purpose. Even the essence of how many people are moving from, the ancestors, like, what Sandy was saying, giving us a never-ending story, a continuum to be able to expand, to expound, or where they call epigenetics. That is, within the essence of our lineage, to which there are different ways of how people understand that. But guess what? However you understand it, however you understand it or overstand it, whatever word that you use, it is divinely orchestrated. It is there for the expression of it all. And so, even the eyes, even the understanding of the eyes not being able to see, or the eyes being able to see without the mind, or the mind able to see without the eyes, for the fact that it's a live wire in this now moment, where we are 2 and 3 in the name of the essence of the divine. We're having an expression, we're speaking on it, we're talking about it. It is a relative experience, a relative reality that we are now in this now moment experiencing. So that makes it beautiful. And the reason why I can say that is because in the essence of the purity of self and the true authenticity, I am experiencing it through the eyes of the all, this little child, the inner child, that is just having fun with its vivid imagination, with all of these experiences, whether it's on the left, whether it's on the right, the upside down, the inside out. It is so vast in its infinite possibilities. So me personally, this essence of the all is appreciating all aspects of the experiences created, especially for the ones that I have the privilege of becoming in alignment with, because it shows so much. It shows the growth. It shows healing. It has so many purposes.
Yeah.
Within one little thing, it's like there's a lot of purposes that it has is within itself. It has so much, because remember back in the day when we were as we began to become awakened, many of us, well, no, it's not that way, because we were so convinced that how we understood our now moment, there was supposed to be a uniformity where everybody was supposed to be all on the same page.
Yeah.
Right. And when you grow into the essence of the divine love and all of the little hints and clues, everybody got a different fingerprint, which means you have a different energetic imprint. And so when you start seeing that it's the diversity of the experience, more so than the more uniform. The one thing that I've come to understand about the one mind is being able to see that, in agreement, that there are so many versions of selves, right, that comes collectively in one. So it's about the understanding and the unconditional love of the diversity of itself.
Yes.
No,
Of
Yeah.
itself. And I remember when I was a kid, they would always talk about in God's house there are many rooms, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when I I always hear that there are infinite possibilities. That's the room. There's a infinite possibility that there's the room. Then when I was a kid, these stories were, kind of like coming up, like Alice moving down the rabbit hole, and Alice meeting all these different characters, these infinite different characters, these infinite choices. She taking one pill and shrinking, and taking another pill and she's growing 10 feet too tall, that kind of whole kind of thing. And even Winnie the Pooh, and the many different stories, the many infinite possibilities. And then I kind of, like, as a kid, I remember when I put my 2 and 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 2, and I could keep going 2 and 2 and 2 and 2 together and go, shit, right?
Yeah,
yeah. Go, this infinite possibility.
Bad. Yes.
It just keeps going and going and going. And everybody is having all these. Imagine if all of us were having our stories all separately. Imagine if our stories didn't bleed into other stories, didn't quantumly bump into other stories, right? Imagine how less intrusive. We wouldn't have to spend a lot of time trying to explain ourselves. We would just be living it. We'd have that form, that expression of form. We'd have the story. We'd be done with the story. Everybody would be starting new stories. And I just see everybody walking into different doors. As one is walking out of a door, somebody is walking into and it was like, when I was a kid, I used to see that. I was like, could that be? I don't know. I think it was maybe, I don't know. I think it was maybe somewhere between 11 and 13. And I thought it was just because I was too sci-fi-y. I thought I watched too much sci-fi, and I grew up on TV shows like Chiller and Twilight Zone and what was it, Night Gallery, and all of these things. And I thought I just had a imaginative, a big imagination. But now I'm thinking, the more I'm here at 67 solar returns, going, no, that's me. That's my authenticity. I saw it before, and I saw these infinite possibilities of rooms, and everybody is living this life and moving in, and they're moving and having all these. And now that I learned from you the word expressing, right?
Yeah.
It's like, all I could say is, holy shit.
Yes.
And what did you say? Hercules, right?
Hercules, yes. But
Jay is saying, I'm sorry, I was missing some of the conversation. It's a divine energetic conditionally. And Jay was saying, what would you suggest to do with triggers and experiences that we no longer want to experience? Well, for me, I suggest the moment that you decide to opt out, that trigger and that experience is just a story that you get to opt out. For me, it's energy. It's a form. It's something that you push down. I would release it. Lift that veil off of it and surrender that form to the divine who created it in the first place. If you're ready to release it, let it go. Let it go. Release, let it go, and then just flow into whatever your next story is. Not saying it's easy, because it wasn't fucking easy for me, but you can do it. But you have to be the one to want to let go. It's not your triggers aren't somebody else triggering you. They're just bumping up against it with their energy. Their energy is attracted to the energy of your trigger. They're making you aware of it. You can either do one or two things. You can you can take that bubble wrap and you can push it down, or you can lift the bubble wrap off of it. You were created with feelings and emotions. You can go ahead and feel it, feel what it's like, and then say, I'm done, and give it back to the divine. Say, you get to tell the divine, I opt out. Can we do another story? And then the divine, the all that is feeling it through you, says, yes, let it be so. And then you get to start a new story. I'm not saying it's easy breezy. It depends on you. It depends on if that resonates with you, and if it's part of your infinite possibility for you. Would you like to?
I use triggers as, when I look at triggers now, if I'm triggered by something now, I'm looking at it as the inner self saying it is a programming that I no longer desire. It's a programming that I'm triggered that I no longer desire. And so for me, because I'm moving in the essence of awareness that is triggering me, as soon as I'm triggered by it, I denounce it, not my story, or not my truth, or, not my thought, because it is, I understand that these were I was placed in this modality to have an emotional response, and so therefore it's part of a programming as to why I'm having an emotional response or being triggered by the programming. So now any triggers to take me out of the trauma and put me into a more corrected for myself experience of healing, any triggers, I look at it as a programming that I no longer desire. And so I'm speaking into existence what it is that I do want to experience. So the first thing is to, a way that I'm healing the trauma into my healing is by the trigger is saying that, it's not my truth, not my story, not my, whatever I need to do. And you will grow, but that's what I initially had to do in order to heal from the trigger responses that kept me in the programming that I no longer wanted to experience. And it is self-talk. It is a self-talk, a self-walk type of thing, because the only person that can change the narrative is you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Peter?
For me, when I've been triggered, I get creative. So I will create something that'll be a piece of artwork that's my response to why I was triggered. And the thing is, then it becomes something that I like. So it goes from being a trigger of something that I've disliked or I've been hurt by, to actually something that I enjoy, and it's manifested itself into something beautiful. So that's just a different way of doing it.
Sorry, I was laughing while you were talking, but I was just reading what Jay was saying. He says, it's with my children and close family. When I let go of one, they bring me a new one. And then he has a laugh. He has a smile face and whatnot. But remember, the triggers, they're not bringing you the trigger. The trigger is in you. They're just activating it.
Right.
They're just kind of like niggling it, kind of, poking at it. So every time that you get activated, it just means that you have to go inward, and you have to do the releasing. You have to have that inner talk with that energy that took form. Your trigger is just a energy that took a form,
right?
So
yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, I had to laugh because usually kids, as I was growing up, knowing that I really triggered a lot of people in my church when I was a kid. So, and I laugh at that because usually kids do activate your triggers, and some of those triggers that children activate come from your inner child that is holding on to an energy or a story that you no longer need. But nobody can change that until you go in and do a deep dive of yourself and go, what about this story don't I want anymore? Just like Patrice says, what about this
Yeah.
story is no longer serving me? Right.
And that's
But
empower. I always, when I example certain things, I always want to represent a being that's moving in the essence of the creative self in power, the power that has been bestowed upon me to be able to create, experience, and express the reality. So when you see the triggers, in power, you are drawing all men unto you to be the cast to support the experience that you want to experience. So you are attracting these triggers, right? For the purpose that you, the divine essence and power, has created to experience. So another thing that has helped me in the healing process is when I took ownership, responsibility, and accountability of the realities that I was creating for myself, in power, realizing that I was attracting the cast members to be of service to me. Instead of looking at them as a detriment to me, I now look at them as being of service to me. That me in power has drawn unto myself for me to experience and grow and expand. So it's all about, too, for me, is changing the way that I was programmed to understand, overstand the experience, to beginning to understand the experience in its true power of how is this trigger being of service to me. She's spinning. I
I'm
don't know if she's spinning. Yes,
spinning
there we go.
because my phone just gave me a thing that said, hey, you need to plug in your code, your
Yes.
cord. Yeah, I need, but luckily I had the cord right there. You know what? When energy, I'll put it this way, when energy moves through this platform, things, that's how you know things are happening.
Yeah.
When stuff starts spinning and whatnot, I don't even complain about Instagram anymore. That's just my catalyst that I know that, hey, information has got out, it's gone to where it's gone, and I'm thankful and grateful, right?
Well, yes.
So
Indeed.
so and but we are at an hour and a half mark. Wow.
Wow.
Life flies when you're having fun, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Or in this case,
it
it
does.
just, not only did it fly, it just stood still in a moment for me.
Yes,
right? In this gorgeous moment, right?
Yeah.
So with this, I'm gonna have to close it because I have some other things that I do have to do. Otherwise, this Gemini would love to be talking for 3 or 4 hours. That's just me. Okay. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold space and take what resonates and leave what doesn't. If there are those that are not into light language or into speaking in tongues, if you leave the room now, I certainly understand. Thank you for joining me. If you want to stay for holding space and closing out this wonderful podcast, please do. The divine wants to speak and hold space, and would love for you to allow yourself to open your soul to translate for you. So with everything, be open if you want. It's matakia sia sholu ku ushia na takiemto. She lokian that she is so na taku on leki. Sena te e se suluku uta shia na kuwa se na te e se no. Loku ushi sholu a lem te sho shanataka e keo sha shena. Shena tuku una. Knock, 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 knock. Tako shio so loku shio na te salu la fiese salu la kiese na taki be shows toku le mete te le mehe se lu le meshi saloku shena tiki pale senache ulema maloko ale meki she sholoku Hiểu là cái le mà le cu sa so le mà le bờ chén na e shano ku le me shala ka ne u le me here te shano tuku teku 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 ashe. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. In wholeness, I leave you with light and love. Love and light, joy, peace, wholeness, understanding, wisdom, shifting and evolving.
Beautiful.
Take it with you.
Yeah.
It's inside you.
Definitely, indeed. I'm grateful, Sandra, and thank you. Thank you for your perseverance. Thank you for your patience in having me here. I am so grateful, divinely so. And this is such a beautiful, synergetic experience. And to each and every one, divine wholeness, divine healing, and divine love to each and every one of you. I am so grateful.
I am so
honored.
grateful. Thank you, Peter. My two P's
You're
in the,
welcome.
I can't believe this. This is vibration. Peter and Patrice. Peter and Patrice, I want to offer, would you like me to list you as collaborators on this? Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And all of those, before I leave, if you haven't clicked at the top, and if you are not following these wonderful, glorious, vibrational beings, please follow them, and have a glorious, beautiful weekend. Oh my.
I will.
Love you.
Oh, thank you. I love you too.
Love you too. Bye-bye.
Love everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Right.